A woman hit by a car in a grocery store parking lot has died. What neighbors are telling us about her.
Frightening moments along a central Kentucky road. A man says he was robbed by someone posing as a police officer.
We'll explain how Montgomery County farmers are protecting their livestock from black vultures.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 6.
Good evening to you. A routine trip to the grocery store took a tragic turn. Tonight we are learning more about an 89-year-old woman who died after being hit by a car outside a grocery store. It happened yesterday afternoon in the parking lot of the Richmond Kroger. Today, Victor Puente talked to one of the woman's neighbors about how she'll be remembered. It's our top story at 6.
Despite being pinned beneath a car, Christine Blakeman was still talking yesterday when paramedics rushed her to UK Hospital. The Fayette County coroner said a few hours later, the 89-year-old died. Richmond police say they've started an investigation into her death. You can see evidence of that left on the pavement of the parking lot of the Richmond Kroger. One of the witnesses to that crash was a nursing student who stayed with Blakeman until paramedics arrived.
I just laid under there and just kept asking, rubbing her back, telling her she's going to be okay, and asking her just general questions to make sure she was alert.
Police say Blakeman was shopping with her daughter and was walking back to the car after returning a shopping cart. That's when a driver accelerated backwards, hitting Blakeman and pinning her arm between the bumper of the car and an SUV. Blakeman's neighbors say she was usually outside, tending to her home on Dennis Street.
But that little lady was either sweeping or on that carport or that front porch or working in the yard, trimming bushes or something. Very neat little lady.
The driver, who police say hit Blakeman, told me she didn't want to talk about the crash on camera. She said she believes she had a seizure and had several more once she was taken to the hospital. She also said she was sorry for what Blakeman's family was going through. Richmond police revealed that the reason a third vehicle was outlined during that investigation was because the impact was so hard that it pushed the SUV that Blakeman was pinned against into a third vehicle. In Madison County, Victor Puente, WKYT.
Now, Blakeman's family is meeting with Combs, Parsons, and Collins Funeral Home tomorrow to make arrangements. New tonight, 2 people facing charges after police say they made a disturbing discovery in a Powell County home. Police arrested Daryl Meadows and Sarah Mullins. They say they went to Meadows' home to serve a warrant, but they noticed a padlock on the door and saw 2 children inside alone. Police kicked open the door. They say the home did not have AC and it was very hot. They say they also found meth and other drug items in the home. They say Mullins is the mother of the children. She and Meadows have been charged with wanton endangerment and endangering the welfare of a minor.
He says he saw flashing lights and thought a police officer was pulling him over, but a driver says it turns out the person was just an imposter who ended up robbing him at gunpoint. It happened Sunday along US 62 in Harrison County, just south of Cynthiana. As police try to track down the robber, they're also warning other drivers. Sean Moody is tracking the investigation tonight.
Well, Harrison County Sheriff's deputy says this man did everything he was supposed to do. He pulled over to the side of the road and went to get his information out, but then the man he thought was a police officer shoved a gun in his face.
It's just, what is the world coming to?
George Harney didn't know what to think of what happened. He lives along US 62 in the area where a deputy said a man impersonating a police officer robbed a driver at gunpoint.
It's nerve-wracking. You don't know what's out here in this world these days.
Sunday afternoon around 5:30, a deputy said a black Charger pulled in behind a driver and switched on red and blue lights.
He pulled over, got his credentials out to show the officer, and then the subject walked up to the car and pointed a gun at his face. The victim gave him his wallet. The subject told him then to start his vehicle back up and put it into gear and drive off. So he did. He complied, which was smart.
The deputy said that Charger drove off on Russell Cave Road. He said if you're ever unsure about a car trying to pull you over, you can call 911.
Well, you can call 911 or call our local dispatch office, see if they do have an officer in the area that's doing traffic stuff.
George hopes they find that Charger soon.
I just hope that it never happens to nobody else. I hope they catch them.
A deputy said they've checked with agencies in surrounding counties and no one else has reported any incidents like this one. In Harrison County, Sean Moody, WKYT.
The deputy said the man was wearing some kind of dark blue uniform. The victim wasn't sure if there were any police insignia on the man's clothing. The case against one of the two men accused of dragging a dog to death in Lexington is now heading to the grand jury. Vincent O'Brien gave up his right to a preliminary hearing today, so the grand jury will now consider his case. But a hearing was held for the other suspect, Jesse Durham. Police say both men were drunk at the time the dog was killed. They say last week they received multiple calls from people who saw a dog being dragged behind a car on Charleston Court. Police say they later found that dog dead.
Tonight, police say they're investigating another case of human trafficking here in central Kentucky. Lexington police arrested 27-year-old Robert Constant after they say that one of the victims came forward. In the last few weeks, police in central Kentucky have arrested 2 other men in human trafficking cases. Today, Sam Smith talked to an advocate who tries to help survivors of human trafficking.
The majority of the victims have been between ages of 15 to 17 years old.
This latest case in Lexington is in line with what Marissa Castellanos has seen the last 2 years. She's an advocate for survivors of human trafficking.
I think when we are holding the traffickers accountable, we make the risk of being engaged in these activities higher, and we say that we're not going to accept it anymore.
What's your full name, Mr. Constant?
Robert Constant is accused of scheduling meetings so 17-year-old girls could have sex with men for money. He's also accused of giving those 2 teens crack cocaine. Police have recovered the girls involved and say they're safe.
I continue to be surprised again and again by how incredibly resilient survivors of trafficking are, but they do need some support.
Castellanos says human trafficking happens everywhere. We've seen that with 2 other cases reported in the past few weeks, another in Lexington and in Frankfort. She says trafficking is going to continue to exist as long as there's a demand for it.
We have to be willing to see that, even though it's a really ugly truth, and we have to respond as a community and be outraged by it and do what we can to keep it from happening.
In Lexington, Sam Smith, WKYT.
In court today, Constant was ordered to have no contact with his victims.
Tonight, Governor Beshear is again telling Kentucky county clerks to follow the U.S. Supreme Court ruling that legalized same-sex marriage. Some county clerks have stopped issuing marriage licenses altogether, saying same-sex marriage goes against their religious beliefs. The governor met with one of those clerks, Casey County Clerk Casey Davis, who said the governor told him to issue licenses or resign. Today, the governor said the same goes for all county clerks.
If you are at that point to where your personal convictions tell you that you simply cannot fulfill your duties that you were elected to do, then obviously an honorable course to take is to resign and let someone else step in who feels that they can fulfill those duties.
The governor has said there will not be a special session to address any same-sex marriage-related issues. The ACLU sued Rowan County Clerk Kim Davis. The federal judge is expected to make a decision in that case next month.
Some showers and storms have popped up, but for most of us, it's been a pretty dry day. Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey joins us with an early look at the forecast. Chris?
Yeah, overall, a very nice weather day for a change across central and eastern Kentucky. Good-looking sky for a lot of us out there. Temperatures today, again, below normal for this time of year for those afternoon highs. Little look outside, and boy, it kind of looks and feels like early September, doesn't it? Lower humidity levels. You've got those little cotton ball clouds. 83 degrees right now into Lexington. And the reason we're starting to see things improving, it's a northwesterly wind at 8 miles an hour. Down the Mountain Parkway corridor, looking good as well with plenty of sunshine over top of us. Current temperatures have been hovering all afternoon long between 80 and 85 degrees into central and eastern Kentucky. Normal highs are upper 80s, and of course those record highs this time of year are around 100 degrees, and in some cases better than that. Defender's been tracking some widely scattered showers and thunderstorms. Very slow movers, not impacting a lot of people though. Getting around the Williamsburg area, Whitley City, over into sections of Knox County, we're seeing some locally heavy downpours. Got a little round to the southwest of us across the BG Parkway corridor. Most of the Bluegrass region and north now in pretty good shape as we get that cold front to continue to kind of clean the skies up across the region. That'll be replacing the warm air with some milder air. If you're out this evening, just a small threat for an isolated shower or storm. Guys, temperatures will head towards 70. When I come back in a few minutes, I'm watching the potential for more rain on Thursday. Updated hour by hour forecast just ahead.
Thank you, Chris. Lexington police want to make sure first responders affected by the Johnson County flash flooding last week are not forgotten. Police have organized a flood relief effort, and they're asking other first responders in central Kentucky to help out. Lexington police will deliver donations for first responders in Johnson County this weekend, and they'll also help with cleanup efforts. Sergeant Ronald Keaton is one of the organizers. He's originally from the hard-hit Flat Gap community.
And as first responders ourselves, we understand how difficult it is to try to maintain that balance between losing everything you have and still trying to focus on the job at hand of helping others.
Lexington police will be collecting donations on Thursday from 8 to 4 at the West Roll Call Center in Old Frankfort Pike, and they're asking for donations of gift cards and cleaning supplies. They're a nuisance, but farmers in Montgomery County say they're also a dangerous threat. Farmers say flocks of black vultures have killed calves and are even threatening children.
But the vultures are actually protected under federal law. As Kristen Kennedy tells us, farmers are now applying for a special kind of permit they say will help them protect their farms.
Farmers in Montgomery County call them a serious threat to their livestock. Black vultures, they say, often hover, dive, and attack cows in labor, going after the mother second, the calf first.
Right as they were being born.
David Donaldson lost 4 calves this year.
You figure a calf that's born, in the fall, he's going to bring you about anywhere from $1,000 to $1,400, and that's a big loss.
He says the black vultures aren't afraid of people. The county's extension agent claims some have taken dives right at children.
And pulling shingles off of houses and rubber out of your sunroofs, out of your cars.
To keep the birds at bay, farmers are now applying for permits that'll allow them to shoot and kill if they're on their land and threatening their livestock. The permits allow farmers to kill up to 5 vultures on their property.
I first saw them in Florida. It's been several years ago when we were down there, and I mean, we were in some state park, but I mean, there were tons of them, but they're just now getting here.
Donaldson's in the process of applying for his own permit. In Montgomery County, Kristen Kennedy, WKYT.
Farmers can apply for the permits on their own. They can also apply through the Kentucky Farm Bureau.
Lexmark has announced it's cutting hundreds of jobs around the world. What the company says led to that decision next.
And then how a new website is helping Kentucky farmers looking for missing horses.